I know a lot of people get intense, and this is kind of a fired up, politically charged topic, Israel versus Palestine, all of that. But I want to take a look at this video, Palestine March on DNC by Channel 5 News, Andrew Callahan. I really want to take a look at this, so here we go.
My name is George Chidi, spelled C-H-I-D-I. I'm a journalist. I write for The Guardian.
Oh, The Guardian?
Yeah. Big paper, London, 9th largest English language publication in the world, The Guardian. Because I'm a legitimate journalist. Who are you?
Yo, you could hear that. You could hear the tone there. Because I am a legitimate journalist, unlike others, maybe yourself. Yeah, that's interesting. Very charged response there.
I'm Saddam.
Saddam who?
Saddam from Channel 5.
Like local?
No, Channel 5 on YouTube.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. What's your fucking problem?
Did you see that? Did you hear the tone? Man, it's just like there's no respect for your fellow journalists. Oh, you're not traditional news media and such. Yeah, you're not legitimate. You have nothing to say here. You know, just that attitude, that tone, the superiority complex is just ridiculous.
I don't have a problem.
I think you do. I am staring at a man who claims to be a journalist and will not identify themselves.
You know what? That's super appropriate. The Skyrim battle music. That is awesome. That is so, chef's kiss.
You're a fuck up. Legitimate journalists will take issue with this. And once I'm done with all of this shit, George Chidi, I'm a journalist for The Guardian. I'm going.
Legitimate journalists. I like how he throws that out there. Legitimate journalists. So his definition of legitimate seems to be purely just traditional media. And that's it. That's what he calls legitimate journalists. In my opinion, legitimate journalist is anybody that's going out there and trying to find sources, trying to find the actual story instead of just quoting from like 3-4 papers over or 3-4 outlets over and not really knowing what the true story is.
Going to find out what the hell this bullshit is about.
All right, figure it out.
I will.
Yeah.
This is fucked up.
I like that. Oh, man. That's Saddam. There we go.
Your people are fucked up. The folks who are listening to this asshole are fucked up. You should be ashamed of yourself if you're giving this guy clicks.
Man, I just reacted to a video from The Guardian the other day, like an investigation video. They found this hacker group. Now I kind of feel bad for reacting to that video, for giving them any sort of visibility at all. Because if they have people like this working there, dang, man, that is not a good look. That is really, really making the paper look bad.
We're here at the DNC. I got verbally assaulted by The Guardian. They told me to get a press pass. I got a press pass.
Channel 5 is in the building in Chicago, yes! Right on. I wish there wasn't a genocide. I wish there wasn't 500,000 to 1 million people dead. I wish Is Not Real was not a colonized state.
Is not real. Is not real. I've never heard it put like that. Wow.
I wish 75 years of oppression didn't happen. As an Ashkenazi Jew, I know my family's past, and I wish that none of this shit was going on because we wouldn't be here right now.
He's throwing out a bunch of data that I do not know if it is true or not. And so it's kind of hard for me to speak on these specific things. But if true, 75 years of oppression, that's a pretty long time. Wow. Yeah, interesting. Interesting to hear these numbers. Again, I don't know how true they are.
The only thing that I'm happy about is that you're here.
How has it been for you, I guess, as a Jew, to stand alongside the Palestinian movement?
It took about 3 days for me to figure out that I didn't know what the hell I was talking about for the last 47 years.
Some of the images, like this attack on a kibbutz called Be'eri, have already been widely seen.
And now I fully see where the white supremacy pyramid is, and it's Israel. You can't oppress people for that long and then expect them just to be happy about it. Somebody had to do something. Netanyahu knew it was happening. They knew for a year. Our CIA told them at least 4 days before. Egypt told them 4 days before. They knew. So
wow. Yeah. So I mean, it's hard to say for sure how true all this stuff is, right? I don't have the source material here. I can't speak on these things, really fluently, right? But just in terms of impressions, right? 75 years of oppression. Oh man, yeah, I can't fully put myself there, but if I just imagine for a second, of course, I would be fed up with it too. My father, my father's father, so many people in my family dealing with oppression like that. Yeah, it would be a charged situation for sure, and I would want to fight back against that kind of oppression too.
They wanted this to happen so they could take back all the land.
It's all their ambitions to get the land, to get Gaza. It's a prime real estate.
And also Netanyahu's running from 3 federal indictments, and now he's just running to save his life.
Last week we had a massacre at a school where 150 was killed, dismembered, beheaded.
The floors covered with bodies, blood and limbs.
Yeah, I hear stories about this coming out all the time, just all the craziness that's happening over there in Gaza right now. It's absolutely insane, all the stuff going on. And, you know, I mean, no matter what side you're talking about, you could be talking about Hamas, you could be talking about, you know, Palestine, Hamas, you could be talking about Israel, and, you know, it's such a mess. It's just such a mess, whether there was 75 years of oppression or not. And I mean, I can believe it. You know, I could go there. I could put myself there and believe it, or at least imagine it. And, you know, it sounds horrible, but man, it doesn't matter what side you're on. This fighting, this brutality on both sides is just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. I really don't know what the fix is. I don't know how you get out of a situation like this, or even a cycle maybe, because I know this fighting has been going on off and on, weird little inflammatory situations here and there, and then now just this full on fight. I know this has been going on for a while, but I don't know how you really fix it. But I can say for sure, in my opinion, that the U.S. should not be involved. I really don't think we should be involved. I think they should be figuring this out themselves, either fighting it out or talking it out, preferably talking it out. But man, it's such a mess that we're getting involved and buying weapons for one side. It just looks, I don't know, it just looks really bad.
Rescue officials say they found around 100 bodies.
Israel, for its part, accuses Hamas of hiding behind the civilian population.
Israel has accused Hamas of using civilians as human shields in Gaza.
And at the same day, we sent a $3.5 billion of weapons, 2,500 pounds of dumb bombs.
The U.S. just the other.
Wow. And I mean, I've heard and I've read articles about how much we're sending over there. And it is kind of nuts. I mean, if you look at it from a certain perspective, we are paying to have one side annihilated. Like, that's really how it feels, how it looks. Again, no matter what side of it you're on, it doesn't really matter. If you just look at that alone, we are paying to have one side annihilate the other. The U.S. is. The U.S. government is. And it's kind of disgusting. It's completely disgusting.
The other day, announcing that it was going to be releasing $3.5 billion worth of long-term military funding.
I'm not down with oppression. I've been fighting fascists all my life, and honestly, Israel's gone so far in the paint, they don't deserve to be a state anymore. One state, Palestine, where it was for 3,000 years, and everybody coexisted, including my cousins and my ancestors.
Arms embargo now, ceasefire now, and U.S. aid to Israel now.
Where are you from?
Yeah. I think ceasefire. I think they need to start talking more. Yeah, definitely. And just really, everybody get at the table, talk it out. Maybe keep the U.S. out of it, honestly. We've been a little too involved, but yeah, definitely need to start talking things out here and figure it out without blowing each other up.
From Chicago?
I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
How do you feel about walls?
Oh, I have a lot to say about walls.
If Trump gets a chance to return, he's going to pick up exactly where he left off 4 years ago.
So Governor Walz is the biggest friend of genocide. He's the best friend of genocide. And he invests over $157 million of Minnesota state pension funds in Israeli companies. And now that's just Israeli companies. That's not also weapons manufacturers that are complicit in Israeli occupation.
The Safe Word invest.
Yes, again, this is just data, just numbers being thrown out that I can't really, confirm or deny or anything. All I can say is, if true, it sounds really bad. Yeah. And I don't... If you could just go by how somebody looks, you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but that Governor Waltz, whatever, he doesn't look like a very nice guy. Just throw that out there. My first impression of him, looking at him from that little clip we just saw, he doesn't really look like a nice guy. So, I mean, maybe I could believe it, but again, can't confirm or deny those facts.
Which
data.
Tim Walz currently chairs and has chaired for a while, has like $4.3 billion invested in corporations that are complicit in Israeli apartheid. There's 119 directly in Israeli corporations and Israeli bonds, and like 560 that go into Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, and all those other weapons manufacturers.
So that's coming out of Minnesota taxpayer dollars, right? Like, I live in Minnesota, and if I ever decide to be a public employee, that's going to be my pension funds. I'm actually part of a delegation of Palestinian Minnesotans that just had their meeting with Governor Walz canceled on the spot, as in 2 minutes before it was supposed to happen, after 10 months of him refusing to meet with us. And he met right away with the synagogues. He went out to a Stand With Israel rally right after October 7th. So he has capacity.
That sounds like stuff that you could confirm. Yeah, and so that definitely doesn't sound good, right? He's obviously leaning towards one side if you listen to that information, you know. So yeah, this guy, he's obviously playing sides from that. So, you know, that's apparent. And I don't think that we should be. I don't think that we should be playing any sides. Honestly, I think we should just stay out of it. I've felt this way for a while, that the U.S. kind of plays too much in foreign affairs, just way too much, right? I mean, obviously, if we're allies with a country and they're being straight up attacked by some dictatorship or some like insane communist country or something, we should help to defend that country. But I don't think we should be so involved and, like, I don't know, weighing so heavily on a conflict that we have no actual part of. It's really weird.
To check in on his constituents. It's just a matter of which constituents.
Democrats are portraying this week's Democratic National Convention as a changing of the political guard. President Joe Biden is expected to give a keynote speech with a symbolic handoff of his party leadership. And on the eve of the convention, though, thousands of protesters took to the streets in downtown Chicago. The protest was organized by an organization that fights for abortion access and LGBTQ rights.
Everybody here but the Guardian. I'll tell you what do you think about Kamala Harris?
She wants to make it look like she's going to be different than Biden or different than Trump on the Palestinian issue, but I don't think she will. I think she's afraid of the Israel lobby.
And she has a history of supporting the U.S. special relationship with Israel and saying that Israel has a right to defend itself as it conducts its illegitimate operation in which it is an occupying entity bombing their occupied population and killing over 15,000 children.
The Fourth Geneva Convention article.
Okay, just playing the other angle here, right? Trying to take a different perspective. Would Palestinians prefer that we were funding Palestine and funding the total, like, almost annihilation or eradication of Israel? I don't think that that's necessarily better, right? It's not better at all. Let me be clear. That's not better at all. That is also not a solution. I think we need to stop funding the weapons and the crazy annihilation on the side of Israel into Gaza. I think we just need to take a step back. Just US leadership. Come on, why don't we just take a step back? This is kind of crazy, you know?
Article 49 clearly states the occupying power shall not deport or transfer parts of its own civilian population into the territory it occupies. And the external occupation of Gaza was illegal under international law. They were under a blockade. Israel controlled all entry and exit of people and materials. 94 to 97% of the water was undrinkable. They practiced calorie restriction into Gaza. A high percentage of the children were anemic. There was a high percentage of unemployment in Gaza prior to October 7th, about 40 some odd %, and that was
again, this guy, he's throwing out a bunch of numbers, a bunch of data that I don't know it. I don't know for sure if it's true or not. But if you just think about just the core, like, of what's going on over there, you know, power getting shut off and you know, just the basics getting kind of assaulted over there. Of course, there would be, like, malnutrition and sickness and disease and problems because of all these things that are happening. So at the very least, that, yeah. Of course, and it's horrible, and it's it's not good for the people there, for the regular people in Palestine, just the regular, like, people who don't care about the conflict even, you know, that they just want to live their lives, and it sucks that they're being affected this way.
Related to the blockade. Also, journalists like yourselves in Gaza are being targeted.
140 Palestinian journalists have been killed since October the 7th and dozens wounded.
More journalists have been killed in Gaza than in World War II. In the Gaza war, where there's only 2.3 million people, as well as medical professionals are being incarcerated in the Israeli torture camps. And
again, if true, I mean, that's insane. Just that, hearing that stat alone is kind of mind-boggling. More journalists have been killed in Gaza than in World War II. That's crazy, especially because of the scale of World War II. So if more journalists are being killed in Gaza, that is nuts.
What is happening is collective punishment against the civilians of Gaza, and we won't stop until there's an end to the occupation.
If we don't get
At the very least, at least that guy seems to be knowledgeable, right? Because you come to like a protest, and it could be a protest about anything, right? And it seems like a lot of people that show up to protests have no idea what they're protesting. Because I've seen some interviews of protesters. Yeah, protesters. I almost said protestees, but that doesn't sound right. Yeah, I've seen an interview of some protesters before at whatever protest it was, and they got asked like, "Hey, do you know why you're here? Like, what are your demands? What are you guys hoping to get out of this?" And they're like, I don't know. I just felt like I should come and support, you know? It's like, what? Guys, can you at least be like a little bit knowledgeable about what you're protesting? So at least that guy seemed to know something.
a ceasefire and an arms embargo overall, I don't think they're going to win the election. I think we get Trump again. And in a Trump presidency, the left actually fights. Democrats will do the same thing. They'll just fundraise. But at least the left will fight fascism. Because right now we have fascism in the United States. You don't see any homeless people around here. Why? Because they're probably locked up. It's illegal to be homeless in the United States right now. Fascism is happening now. So you can't threaten us with Trump or any hypothetical fascism when it's already happening now.
So I'm here to tell
I mean, that's a good point, right? Again, I don't know enough about it to say for sure, but the logic there makes sense, right? You can't threaten that Trump is going to bring fascism if fascism is indeed already here in the country. I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying the logic holds there. He's got a good point. If the fascism is indeed here, I'm not saying it is, but if it is, then you can't threaten that Trump will bring it because it's already here. He's got some good logic going on in that noodle of his.
the Democratic Party and the Democratic candidates that their voters will no longer support unconditional aiding and abetting of genocide. It's no longer appropriate to say that you're just better than the other guy and that you're going to secure the progressive vote just because.
Kamala Harris, we're under no illusion that the Democrats or the Republicans could ever really do anything to help us. Even if, let's say, there was some nice person in there that wanted to, materially, they have different interests from us because they have backers from the biggest businesses in the world. We don't pay their bills. They're not going to listen to us. So we don't expect much out of Kamala or the DNC or anybody they put in that seat because regardless, they're going to enact the same policies.
Unfortunately, politics and foreign policy and just everything is so, I don't want to say corrupt, but it's so convoluted. I mean, sure, I'm sure there is corruption. I'm absolutely sure there is, but I'm not saying it's all corruption, right? So it's just it's so convoluted. It's so messy. There's so many ties between individuals, between corporations, between conglomerates, between organizations, between these foreign powers, and just all of it. It's such a mess, right? And so there's people depending on one party to follow through on this aspect and this group to follow through on this aspect, and these guys want this control over this, and okay, so we pay for this and you give us this. It's such a mess that it's really hard to untie anything to get to a point where you can just decide, like, hey, should we even be there or not? Should we even be supporting this conflict or not? It's just such a mess.
Constantly hearing vote for the lesser evil, but it's still evil, and I don't feel like supporting that. That's why I'm here.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hey, yo, free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Fuck Nestle, bro.
Fuck Nestle.
Their CEO says that water shouldn't be a human right.
Wait, what? Okay, I thought he was just trolling at first, but that sounds dark. Yeah, that's very dark.
Fuck that.
Look it up. It's on Google and shit.
Crazy.
That's it.
Wow.
You made that shirt yourself?
Yes, I drew it. I just bought fabric markers at like Meyer and shit. Yeah. Easy.
Who do you feel most connected to?
Right now, I feel most connected to Sudan and Congo, who are also going through genocides of their own that are extremely, extremely connected to Israel.
You know, that's a good point. We kind of forget about the other conflicts that are going on in the world, you know, because there's particular ones that get more press, right? There's Ukraine. There's, kind of the conflict constantly being stirred up between North Korea and South Korea. And there is the Israel and Hamas conflict, right? But there's other things going on. Africa, especially like Central Africa and maybe a little bit of Southeastern Africa, they're like constantly fighting. There's constantly things going on over there. And so I think it's easy for us to forget that, you know, there's other conflicts going on because they don't get the coverage that these ones do.
It's Israeli companies that are putting them through this genocide. So I feel very much like we can't continue with our struggle without mentioning the people of Congo and Sudan, but also
The whole Epstein thing was about blackmail. They would get you having sex with the kid, then we own you, we operate you, we'll pay you well, but you do what we say. And
This guy seems like a very, very classical conspiracy theorist to me. I'm not saying that what he's talking about is a conspiracy, but I'm just saying, like, just the look and the vibe and the way he talks, he kind of gives me, hey, I am hardcore into conspiracies.
if you turn on us, we'll kill you. You know, so, we're just trying to really ease the temperature back a little bit. This aggression will not stay.
I can get behind that. Ease the temperature back a little bit. Yeah. Just lower the weapons, everybody. Let's chill the hell out and let's talk. Let's just talk a little bit more. Shoot a little bit less, talk a little bit more.
Damn, man.
What aggression?
In Israel, there's a lot of aggression there.
It's a moral imperative to be here today because you can't stand by and watch the body count rack up daily without coming out and saying something.
From the river to...
I mean, yeah, that lady nailed it pretty much, right? You can't just sit there and watch a body count rack up and just think that everything's okay or that, you know, everything's going to work itself out. I think if the U.S. government wants to be involved in this foreign conflict, I think they should be definitely like talking to both sides, even threatening both sides with, not with violence, with, you know, crazy tariffs or, you know, some sort of like, trade blockade type thing, things like that to make it hard on these people to continue these conflicts and encourage them to get to the negotiating table, get to like a talk. Let's talk it out, okay? Nobody is supporting the body counts rising daily in either country, right? Nobody supports that. Let's figure this out. How do we stop this?
To the sea, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free.
We feel betrayed by the democratic machine. A lot of the Muslim Palestinian community voted Democrat, and the Democrats are failing us. And free Palestine! My family is still there, and they're afraid for they're being their kids, even in the West Bank. Their kids are being attacked wherever they go. I mean, you can be attacked and you can be killed just any minute. That's in the West Bank where there is no Hamas.
The West Bank is
Oh, that's crazy. You know, and again, like, so if true, absolutely insane. Not even any Hamas there. Not even any of the extremists that are there, and people are just being killed. Just regular kids, just families, whatever. Yeah, that's insane. Okay, just to give some context about how I kind of think about this, right? So I went to a Palestinian restaurant the other day. I had some awesome Palestinian food. Met this lady that I assume she owned it. I'm pretty sure she was the only one in the front anyway. So I'm pretty sure she owned it or her family owned it. She was so nice. She was so sweet. I asked where she was from, and she said she's from Palestine. And I just kind of said like, oh, I'm so sorry about what's going on over there. And she said, yeah, it's absolutely horrible. You know, we've got family over there, and we just went there recently to visit, and yeah, it's absolutely insane what's going on. So for me, I look at this, and of course, the governments and these officials in the governments that are encouraging these conflicts and pushing and sending out troops for these conflicts, they're crazy. They're absolutely crazy. And for whatever reason, whatever you want to say, I think it's crazy that this is going on at all on both sides. But the people, you meet just regular everyday people who just have families. They've got a business, a restaurant that they're trying to run, or, you know, the restaurant is here in the U.S., but I'm saying, like, you know, whatever. Maybe they have family that they're trying to support back home with the restaurant, things like that. You know, they're just people. They're just people trying to live their lives, trying to, you know, just have a good life, have a good experience, and that experience is being ruined. Even secondary or tertiary bad experience here, it's ruining their life, right? And I can't get behind that.
Completely sealed off by apartheid walls, checkpoints. Even without the checkpoints and walls, Israeli settlers would hide in the roads and put rocks in the road to prevent Palestinians from crossing. And when the Palestinians would stop, they'd come and beat them. They'd set things on fire, houses, businesses on fire, with the protection of the IDF. And it's just terrible over there.
Yeah.
We can't really enjoy our families.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely terrible. The things that I see in the news, and there's clips of this stuff happening, right? I mean, I've seen some of this stuff happening. So it's not like all of it is like, oh, can't confirm or deny. Like, you can see some of it happening. But yeah, it is absolutely horrible what's going on.
Here because you feel guilty to really live normal and
fuck Kamala Harris. She's a genocidal piece of shit cop that doesn't deserve to be here.
She's like really weird.
I mean, dang, that guy's got some strong feelings. I mean, I don't know if I would put it like that, but whoa, holy cow.
You know, so it's like she's not funny, but like she's unintentionally funny to laugh at. You feel me?
They don't care about black and brown people as long as they get their funding, their money, and the interest groups continues to fund them. They're going to decide and do whatever that interest group tells them to.
Again, yeah, I think that's very true. I think there are a lot of interest groups in influencing companies, influencing government officials, influencing, big organizations that have a lot of influence as well. Yeah, I think that's definitely happening.
Can I ask you what your patches mean?
Sure, this is Hamas, this is Hezbollah. These are legitimate resistance movements that are fighting for Palestinian rights, that are fighting for justice.
And all the women across the globe who are affected by U.S. and Western imperialism.
I think it's just, yeah, I think there's always some extremists in any group. And there's always some crazy psychos in any group, in any side of any conflict, right? And so, I don't know, it's hard to say that just, oh, Hamas is horrible or, oh, Israel is horrible as a whole, these blanket statements. I can't get behind that. There's always just regular people that are just trying to live their lives. Even the people in the military or, in the armed units of either side of the conflict, they want to live their lives too. I mean, of course they want to support their country and their people, but they want to live their lives too. They don't necessarily support these fights, right? And so it's hard to say like, oh, Hamas is screwed up for doing all this stuff, or, oh, Israel is screwed up. I mean, yes, I think the actions, the physically recorded actions that we've seen are absolutely abhorrent, of course, but it's just, you can't just say as a whole, either side is just horrible or something. It's just not fair to do that.
Gaza, for example, women in Gaza don't have reproductive justice because they don't even have basic health care. They don't have basic human rights, right? There's bombs dropping on them every single day. So if in the United States we want to demand reproductive justice here, we need to also be demanding reproductive justice for the women in Gaza.
Workers of the world unite. We have nothing to lose but our chains, a world to win. Join the Revolutionary Communist International wherever you are. And watch Channel 5.
I can get behind that one. Watch Channel 5. Yeah, these guys are in there. They're actually doing it.
Think about everything terrible in this world. It always goes back to money. A communist America, you're going to see basically the eradication of things like homelessness, poverty.
Fuck you, fuck mother. In fact, I got $20. I'll go fuck your mother. Okay.
Whoa. Dang, man. So people like this, they don't have any idea what they're doing. Like, he's actually crazy to do this because in this situation, in this video, he is representing The Guardian, right? He is representing The Guardian right now. And he is making that publication, that newspaper, that news outlet look so bad. Like, on impulse alone, I think to myself, oh, I'm never going to read another Guardian article. Like, that's the kind of thing, that's the kind of impression that you get, when you see craziness like this. You go, oh, I shouldn't support that article. They're crazy, they've got crazy people working there.
Maybe she'll give me $10 back.
Yo, that's a Guardian, bro. That's a Guardian, bro.
Why does it?
You call my mom a hoe there?
That's crazy.
That's wild.
Bro.
People from the Guardian acting like that. That's crazy as fuck.
Yeah.
I said, hey, bro, let's squash it. He told me you want to fuck my mom.
Yeah, you heard him. He said, "Hey." He went up to him like, "Hey, bro, let's squash this. Like, let's end this whatever weird, I don't know, just feud out of nowhere just because you don't like that he's, you know, not traditional media." And he just went off like that. That's crazy.
And then they upset because you're wearing a mask? Yeah. Do you see how they act when people come out here and protest for the truth? And then you see they got the gas mask on and shit for what? Like, man, like they ready? Like, what the fuck? Ain't nobody did nothing. We just sitting here chanting, but it's a problem.
They're ready. They were getting ready to use chemical weapons on a bunch of fucking citizens who care about what this country's doing. They want to fucking hurt us and put us down instead of listening to us. They know we don't have any other fucking options. It's just fucking Harris or a goddamn crazy fascist. And the moment we stand up for ourselves and try and say some shit about it, they try and fucking gas us. What type of bullshit is that? Fuck that.
I mean, that guy's kind of cooking, honestly, right? I mean, I don't have strong feelings either way about the presidential candidates. I mean, I think they're both kind of foolish in one way or another, honestly, you know? I mean, there's good and bad either way, I think, but it's mostly bad. You know, we don't really have a lot of good options. But man, this guy's cooking, right? You just want to come out, you just want to be able to use your voice and speak on issues, and then you get gassed for it. You get, you know, like chemically attacked. It's kind of, yeah, he's cooking.
That shit. We should have more options in this fucking country than a fucking cop and a fucking fascist.
Channel 5 Live worldwide, Hollywood and Vine.
Fuck the authority, Channel 5 News.
Channel 55. We don't fuck with custers.
Oh my gosh. Channel 5, Andrew Callahan. That was actually a good video. That was really good. There was a lot of data that was being thrown out that, again, I don't necessarily personally know for sure, but there's some crazy numbers. Like, if true, 75 years of oppression, that's crazy. Like, I can't even begin to understand what that would feel like. I can only imagine. And of course, my imagination comes nowhere near close enough to what it would actually be like to be under something like that. And so even just with my imagination, I can feel like, oh, I would hate that. I would hate to be oppressed for so long. So I can kind of understand even just like a minutia amount of what they're talking about there. Man, it's just crazy what's going on. I really strongly feel that the U.S. just needs to take a step back, stop sending money over there. Just either let things play out the way they're going to, like. And I know that's rough to hear, but really just take a step back and stop influencing things at all. Or, like I said, do some sort of like trade restrictions, trade tariffs, and like come down hard on both sides that way to kind of give them a sense of like, oh shoot, you know, we're in trouble here in a different way if we don't come together and kind of figure this out. Put pressure on them like, hey, we'll lift the restrictions if you guys will talk this out. And I think that would go a lot farther, or at least, I don't know. Anytime people are blowing each other up, it's not good. That's all I'm saying. Anytime people are blowing each other up, it's not good. If you can get them to stop doing that and try to talk a little more, I think that's the way to go. Anyway, this was a good video. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.